Welcome to the 2021 Child Care Food Program Annual Mandatory Training. Child and Adult Care Food Program regulations require that all providers receive a yearly training to discuss material that is critical in remaining in compliance with the CACFP. The training will be based on the following topics: new meal pattern requirements, new milk requirements, monitoring visits, serious deficiency process and training, meal count, attendance, and menu recording, review, submission, and claim processing, standards agreement, rules and regulations, license capacity, nutrition topics, food safety and sanitation and COVID-19, and civil rights. Although you are probably fully aware of each area, it is important that each provider is confident in their knowledge of the program and to remain in compliance with regulations. Infant meal pattern. Infant meal pattern. There are two age groups. 0 through 5 months get breast milk or formula 4 to 6 fluid ounces. 6 through 11 months get breast milk or formula 6 to 8 fluid ounces. 0 to 4 tablespoons of infant cereal, meat, fish, poultry, whole eggs, cooked dried beans or peas, or 0 to 2 ounces of cheese, 0 to 4 ounce volume of cottage cheese, or 0 to 4 ounces of yogurt or a combination. 0 to 2 tablespoons vegetable, fruit, or both. This is required when an infant is developmentally ready. Breast milk and breastfeeding. If the mother comes to the daycare to directly feed her infant breast milk, you can claim those meals. Meals can be claimed if a mother brings express breast milk and if the breast milk is the only food item served, without any extra form, only the enrollment form is needed, and for as long as the child is on breast milk. Breast milk is the optimal source of nutrients. Bottles of breast milk must be stored in the refrigerator, used within 72 hours, and must be labeled with the infant's name and date of expiration. 6 through 11 months. Gradual introduction of solids. Solid foods. Once the infant is developmentally ready, you are required to offer solid foods. This is around 6 months of age or as developmentally ready. An infant's readiness depends on his or her rate of development. Communicate with parents about when to introduce solid foods. Vegetable and fruits. Required to be served at snack when a baby is developmentally ready. Juice can no longer be claimed for any infant under 12 months. Grains. Ready-to-eat cereals, like Cheerios, can be served at snack only. The same sugar limits apply. Meat and meat alternates. Yogurt can be served to older infants developmentally ready to accept. The same guidelines apply as older children, and same sugar limits apply as well. Whole eggs can be served to infants. Previously, only egg yolks were credible for infants. No cheese foods or cheese spread is allowed. Tofu is not a credible meat alternative. Infant feeding reminders. Enrolling infants. You may not avoid this obligation by stating that the infant is not enrolled in the food program. Infants do not follow the regular meal schedule, they follow their own feeding schedule. You must offer at least one type of iron-fortified infant formula, which is any brand that is approved for sale in the United States, and you must look at the nutrition label to make sure it is iron-fortified. For enrollment, you must state who is providing the formula, as well as the name of the formula, and the parent and provider signature must be on it. For infant decline, it must be submitted with enrollment if parent is declining your formula and bringing her own. If not submitted with enrollment, provider will be disallowed. Question: what is the new infant age groups? Answer: 0 to 5 months and 6 to 11 months. Question: when are solids to be introduced to an infant? Answer: when an infant is developmentally ready and there is communication between the parents and the provider. Older children meal patterns. New milk requirements. Children between 1 to 2 years old. They receive whole milk and unflavored must be served only. Children 2 years and older. Only non-fat, unflavored, or fat-free skim 0% or low-fat 1% milk must be served to children over 2 years of age. Milk must be served at all main meals, breakfast, lunch, and dinner. For milk allergies, non-dairy beverages such as soy milk that are nutritionally equivalent to milk may be served in place of regular milk for children with a medical or a special dietary need. Children with milk allergies must complete a medical statement form. 2% milk is not allowed. Yogurt products and sugars. Some brands have higher sugar content than others. Yogurt must contain no more than 23 grams of total sugar per 6-ounce serving. This applies to all age groups. Soy yogurt. 1.5 cup or 4 ounces of soy yogurt is credible as 1 ounce equivalent of meat alternate and must contain no more than 32 grams of sugar per 6 ounce. Non-credible yogurt products. Frozen yogurt, drinkable yogurt, homemade yogurt, yogurt bars, yogurt covered fruits and nuts, yogurt and commercially prepared smoothies. These are all non-credible yogurt products. Question: what is the new milk requirement for children 1 to 2 years old? Answer: whole milk. Question: under how many grams of sugar is yogurt credible? Answer: under 23 grams of sugar per 6 ounce. Meat and meat alternates. Meat and meat alternates may be served in place of the entire grains component at breakfast a maximum of 3 times per week. 1 ounce equivalent of meat and meat alternates is equal to 1 ounce equivalent of grains. For a menu example, cheese omelet, fruit and milk for breakfast. Tofu, soy yogurt, and edamame are credible. Tofu. Tofu is not credible towards reimbursable meals for infants. Forms that tofu has is silken, soft, firm, and extra firm. Blended into a recipe such as soup that is not recognizable is not credible. Soft or silken tofu varieties, commonly added to smoothies and baked desserts, are not credible. Firm or extra firm tofu in dishes such as stir-fry, omelets, and soups that is easily recognizable may be counted towards the meat alternative component. Commercially prepared tofu must meet protein requirement, which is 5 grams per 2.2 ounces by weight. This is credible as a 1 ounce of meat alternate, and it must not be homemade. Some examples: of tofu packaging. Is this product credible? Soft or silken tofu with frozen berries blended into a smoothie? The answer is no. The tofu is not recognizable. Question: how many times a week can a meat or meat alternate be served at breakfast? Answer: a maximum of 3 times per week. Fruits and vegetables. There must be a fruit and vegetable component in each main meal, or 2 vegetables at lunch and supper with no fruit. Snacks. Allow fruits and vegetables to be served at snacks, for example, carrot sticks and apple wedges. For dried fruit, 1/4 cup counts as 1/2 cup of fruit. Fruits and vegetables continued. Mixed vegetables and fruit. Continue to count as 1 serving of vegetable or fruit. Examples: various vegetables served in a soup or fruit salad. Must contain at least 1/8 cup of recognizable fruit or vegetable per serving, and the minimum amount required is served in total. Added sugars. No beverages with added sweeteners, for example, sweet teas, diet drinks, sodas, juice drinks with added sugars, flavored milks. Variety. It is important to offer a variety of different fruits and vegetables. Juice blends and purees. Able to credit 100% fruit or vegetable juice for the entire fruit or vegetable component at any meal. This means that you can now serve juice at lunchtime and dinner as well, but only once per day. Smoothie or juice can only be served once per day. The juice never replaces the required serving of milk, rather it replaces a serving of whole fruit or vegetable. Must be 100% fruit juice. Leafy greens. Keep in mind that 1 cup of raw, uncooked leafy greens counts as a 1/2 cup of vegetable. If cooked, the leafy green counts as the volume served. Portable water available to children upon request throughout the day. Blended vegetables and fruits. Continue to count as 1 serving of fruit or vegetable, and must contain at least 1/8 cup of recognizable fruit or vegetable per serving, and the minimum amount required as served in total. Water must be available. Child care centers and daycare homes can make water available to children in a variety of ways, including cups available next to the kitchen sink faucet, water pitchers and cups set out, and simply providing water if it should be requested. Daycare homes are not required to have water available for children to self-serve. Offering water means asking the children whether they would like water at different times throughout the day. For very young children, this may require visual cues such as showing the cup or pitcher while verbally offering the water. Less sugars. Many changes of less sugars to the meal pattern, for example, sugar limits on breakfast cereals, yogurt, juice, and now grain-based desserts. Non-credible grain-based desserts are cookies such as vanilla wafers, sweet pie crusts, donuts, cereal bars, breakfast bars, granola bars, sweet rolls like pan dulce, toaster pastries like Pop-Tarts, cakes, cinnamon rolls, and honey buns, and brownies. Whole grains and whole grain rich foods. At least 1 serving of grains per day in your daycare must be whole grain or whole grain rich. Whole grain rich foods are those that contain 100% whole grains, or at least 50% whole grains and the rest are enriched. Choose at least one meal or snack that includes a whole grain-rich food. How can I find whole grain foods? It's 100% whole grain. The food package says it's 100% whole grain. If you see these stamps, make sure you buy the one that says 100% whole grain. If it says simply whole grain, you must check to see the rest of the ingredients are enriched. Whole grain foods. These grains are whole grain ingredients. Whole wheat, millet, brown rice, rolled oats, wild rice, whole grain barley, oatmeal, whole grain sorghum, bulgur, whole rye, whole grain corn, buckwheat, and quinoa. If the only grain is whole and is listed as the number one ingredient or second after water, then it's 100% whole grain. White whole wheat breadsticks. The first couple ingredients are whole wheat flour, water, enriched unbleached wheat flour, which does contain wheat flour and malted barley flour. In the white whole wheat breadsticks, it does contain whole grain rich foods. The first ingredient is a whole grain, and the remaining grains in the product are enriched. Please maintain a copy of the label on file. Here is another example for the wheat tortillas. In the ingredients, it says water, modified food starch, whole wheat flour, wheat gluten, and powdered cellulose. In the example of the wheat tortilla, it is not a whole grain rich food. A whole grain is not the first ingredient by weight. The modified food starch is not a credible grain. Food program on whole wheat. The food program requires that whole grain or wheat be claimed at least once a day. Effective 10/1/2018, provider will be disallowed for days that do not specify that a whole wheat or grain was specifically served. How do you avoid this disallowance? For the providers who claim online, make sure when you're inputting the food, where it says, "Is this whole grain rich?" make sure to press that little tab saying yes. For providers who claim on the bubble sheets, please make sure to indicate at the top which meals you are serving the whole grain food. For example, if you are serving at breakfast, make sure to fill out at breakfast time at the top. Question: how many times a day do I have to serve a whole grain rich food? Answer: at least one whole grain rich food a day. Breakfast cereals. The cereals must contain no more than 6 grams of sugar per dry ounce. Breakfast cereals include dry cereals, instant and hot cereals. Look for cereals approved by the WIC program. Any WIC approved cereal in any state meets the food program sugar requirements. Many grocery stores post WIC shelf labels. Look at the nutrition facts label. Do a quick calculation by dividing the number of grams of sugar per serving by the number of grams of cereal per serving. If the result is 0.212 or less, the cereal is credible. Question: under how many grams of sugar are breakfast cereals credible? The answer is 6 grams or less sugar. Deep fat frying. Food preparation. Frying is defined as deep fat frying. are cooking by submerging food in hot oil or other fat. Deep frying foods is prohibited in the food program. Cooking with some oil or vegetable oil is part of healthy eating. To promote healthy cooking techniques, the following methods of cooking are acceptable: sautéing, pan fry, and stir fry. For example, fish or chicken nuggets may be reimbursable if they are pan fried, baked, or prepared in another way, as long as it is not cooked by submerging in hot oil or fat. Using food as reward or punishment. Using food as a reward or a punishment is prohibited in the food program. We require providers to ensure that the reimbursable meal service contributes to the development and socialization of enrolled children by restricting the use of food as punishment or a reward. It is also prohibited to withhold beverages such as milk as it is part of the reimbursable meal. For example, putting the milk or fruit on the counter and refusing to serve it to the child until they finish another food item. And another example is refusing to serve the milk to children because they will spill it or drink before they eat other food items. Monitoring visits. Monitoring visits will be conducted at least 3 times a year by your monitor. All visits will be unannounced. If a provider is not present, assistant must have access to all records pertaining to the food program and make them available to review for your monitor. Paperwork must be kept on a daily basis to avoid disallowances. You can call the office if you're not home. Provider must notify the sponsor when daycare will be closed for the day or vacation or no attendance. By regulation, provider must notify the office or if he or she will be away from their facility during a scheduled mealtime. Notifying the sponsor avoids the chance that the monitor will arrive for an unannounced visit and find no one at home. Meals normally claimed during that day would then be disallowed and provider may be found as serious deficient. Home daycare license. Did you forget something? Provider must notify the sponsor of any changes made to the provider's daycare license. This may include license capacity increase or decrease, name change, or address change. Failure to notify may place a provider on serious deficiency. Home daycare license fees. Submitting your proof of payment. For licensing renewals, federal rules require that in order to participate in the child care food program, you must have a current child care license. Since most licenses do not have an expiration date, you are required to pay an annual fees in order to keep your license current. As proof that you have paid your fees, you will need to send us a copy of either of the following: a copy of your canceled check, front and back, money ordered, if paid online, a copy of an online receipt, or a copy of a bank statement. If we do not receive proof of renewal documentation before renewal due date, or if fees are paid late, your claim reimbursement will be affected and may not be processed. At any time, if we are notified by licensing of a revocation of your license due to non-payment of fees, or for any other reason, your participation on the food program will cease immediately. Capacity regulations. Small family child care license of 8. You may care for 4 infants only, 0 to 2 years old, 3 infants and 3 older children over the age of 2, and 2 infants and 6 older children, 2 school-age children, 1 at least 6, and 1 enrolled in kinder. For a large family child care license of 14 children. You and your assistant may care for 4 infants and 8 older children over the age of 2, or 3 infants and 11 older children with at least 2 children over the age of 2. Review of rules and policies. Records and home visits. Daily records of meals claimed are mandatory. You must have available for review when daycare is open. Menus, attendance, child enrollments are to be submitted within 5 days from when the child starts. Parent sign date must be the same as the date enrolled. Keep these records for 3 years plus current fiscal year, a total of 4 years. This also includes all daily meal worksheets and enrollments or renewals. Remember to always record meals daily by midnight. Reimbursement guidelines. Reimbursement is issued to providers. All claims must be submitted by the 5th of the month to Children's Resource and Referral. When funds are received from the CDE, funds will be released within 5 days from the received date. COVID-19. Are you feeling ill? Because COVID-19 is still prevalent, if you have a fever or find it hard to breathe, or just feel generally sick, please stay home, and please have the children stay home as well. If you feel these symptoms during the day, put a face mask on and contact the parents to let them know. Let's keep our facility clean. Check the supply of soap, paper towels, and garbage by the sinks every day. Check the supply of tissues and hand sanitizer for all the children and workers in the common areas every day. Disinfect everything that is often touched using a disinfectant at least once every few hours. How to wash your hands. Please refer to this chart to see the proper way of washing your hands. Please allow at least 30 seconds of washing your hands. How can I protect myself from COVID-19? Practice good healthy habits. Washing my hands often, cover cough and sneezes, and not touching my face. Cleaning surfaces often. Staying home when you're sick, and avoiding those that are sick. Civil rights. Non-discrimination statement. In accordance with federal civil rights laws and U.S. Department of Agriculture, civil rights regulations and policies, the USDA, its agencies, offices, and employees and institutions participating in or administering USDA programs are prohibited from discriminating based on race, color, national origin, sex, disability, age, or reprisal or retaliation for prior civil rights activity in any program or activity conducted or funded by USDA. Persons with disabilities who require alternative means of communication for program information, for example, Braille, large print, audio tape, American Sign Language, etc., should contact the agency, state or local, where they applied for benefits. Individuals who are deaf, hard of hearing, or have speech disabilities may contact the USDA through the Federal Relay Service at 800-877-8339. Additionally, program information may be made available in languages other than English. To file a program complaint or discrimination, complete the USDA Program Discrimination Complaint Form, found online at http://usda.complaint-filingcust.html, and at any USDA office. Or write a letter addressed to the USDA and provide in a letter all the information requested in the form. To request a copy of the complaint form, call 866-632-9992. Submit your completed form or letter to USDA by 1. Mail, U.S. Department of Agricultural Office of the Assistant Secretary for Civil Rights, 1400 Independence Avenue, Southwest Washington, D.C., 20250, 9410, or 2. Fax at 202-690-7442, or 3. By email, program.intake@usda.gov. This institution is an equal opportunity provider. Civil rights continued. Must have a flyer displayed in your daycare facility of the civil rights. Not enrolled infants is age discrimination. Requiring parents of infants to provide their child's food items is denying access to the program. Not enrolling children in care in general is denying access to the program. Tier 2 providers. For the meal benefit forms offered only to certain children. Serious deficiency. How to avoid being placed on the national disqualification list. Menus, attendance, and/or daily meal worksheet is not up to date. Failure of retention of records. Not notifying sponsor when daycare closed. False claiming. Pre-claiming. Not meeting meal pattern requirements. Overcapacity. Failure to complete any annual workshop training. Not following meal service times. Altering records after review. Missing enrollments, meal observed different from what was claimed, and failure of notifying sponsor of license status. KidCare. Ready to claim online? New software makes it much easier to claim online. Now available on all devices. Ask us how today. Thank you for attending.